A thriving democracy depends on active civic engagement where citizens are informed, participate in governance, and hold leaders accountable. However, in Nigeria, many people remain disengaged due to misinformation, digital divides, and declining public trust. The rapid digital transformation has further reshaped how citizens interact with information, presenting both opportunities and challenges for civic engagement. It's another beautiful episode, a new week on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Osayua Mesale, and today we'll delve into the role of media in bridging gaps in civic engagement. And I have with me Blessing Agbeetan. She is a broadcast journalist, and she's joining me via Zoom. Unfortunately, our video cannot be turned on, but yeah, she's there. Thank you so much for joining me, Blessing.
Hi, good evening. It's nice to be here.
Yes, so how are you doing?
I'm very well, I must say. Aside from the cold, I'm battling west, but I'm good.
No, not a
Thank you
problem.
so much for having me on the Waste Show.
We're happy to hear your voice, even though we would have loved to see your to see the face.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's
Thank
fine.
you.
All
Yeah.
right, so we're talking media and its role in civic engagement, right? Your overall assessment as a broadcast journalist, because I mean, let me tell you something. I keep telling anybody that cares to listen, if you do not pay attention to what the media is doing, then you're not ready. You are not ready for what is coming in the future. Because the truth is, literally, right, and not even now with artificial intelligence, where I can just take Blessing's face, I've already copied her voice, I can edit it, and the next thing, Blessing is doing something very, compromising, because that is what media has become. You can't even tell what is going on right now. People are just taking advantage of all the tools that are available, and they're just doing a lot. But in your assessment, Blessing, what do you think, or how do you think the role the media is playing? How do you think it's how effective is that role in civic engagement?
All right. Thank you once again for having me on the program tonight. I would say that basically the media is supposed to inform, educate, apart from entertainment and all of that, ensuring that the people are in the know about government policies and actions, as well as serve as watchdog. But the question I think we should be asking is the media really playing the role or acting that part as the watchdog, ensuring that the people are very much aware about the policies, actions, and everything that the government is doing, and ensuring that all of those things are put out there for people to even have things to do. However, like what you said earlier, while you were doing the introduction to the program, talking about how the social media space has been polarized and how everything just goes there. I remember there was this particular conversation. I think it was the yacht conversation about this particular news that broke out one time that, it was said that, oh, the government set out a particular amount, set aside a particular amount to buy the yacht for the wife of the president, and this actually generated a lot of controversy on X, other social media platforms. Everybody has something to say. I think it was thereafter that the government now came out to say, okay, apparently the yacht is not actually meant for the wife of the president, for the first lady. It is actually meant for the navy or thereabouts. I cannot really remember now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that is the media really playing the role? Because one would have expected, as a media practitioners, I mean, we have investigative journalists who are supposed to, maybe put this upon themselves, go out there, really investigate and, put out the right information. We have a lot of work to do, if you ask me, because every day you wake up to one false story or the other. Just like you said, AI is everywhere. I'm trying to remember the name of this journalist now. I don't know why his name just left my head. How a particular, betting company, cloned him and his voice, and then use it to advertise the betting company and all of that. I think it was thereafter he took actions and that particular advert was put down. So that's just to say that the AI is taking over, and there is an abuse of artificial intelligence personnel have to double up whatever it is that we're doing. I mean, it lies on you and I, all of us. It is our responsibility to ensure that the right information is put out there. People have access to adequate information. It is also the right of the government, maybe not right now. It also lies on the government to ensure that we have access to all of this information. One thing I would always say is that when I have conversations about government policies and actions, and then how the citizens are supposed to react or how the citizens are supposed to behave, when the citizens have adequate knowledge, I mean, we're not going to go on X and start saying what is not, because this is how it works. One person will come with a particular write-up. Before you know it, another person is sharing it. Before you know it, another person is sharing it, and it goes on and on and on. Before you know it, a lot of people are already having,
Absolutely.
And
those negative news actually even travels faster, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I get you.
Absolutely.
The media is supposed to provide critical information on government policies, electoral reforms, civic engagement. And again, if we are intentional about media, we already have all the platforms, be it radio, TV, your papers,
Newspaper.
Online websites, social media platforms. It's supposed to help keep the citizens updated, right? And, promote different kinds of local development. But we keep on seeing that it seems that gap is just there. But where does the role of funding happens with all of this? Because let me tell you something, Blessing. It is the person that is paying me that I will help you say what you want to say or what you want me to say. So, we have a major issue, because most times when I hear people say that, oh, the media is not doing enough, well, it is whoever that is paying the piper that dictates the tune, right? That is the adage. So if we keep on having media underfunded, it is going to be very difficult for the platforms to project what needs to be projected, right? You're supposed to shine the spotlight on things. You're supposed to be the watchdog, like you rightly mentioned earlier, right? But if I am the one paying you, you cannot be my watchdog. I will tell you what I want you to say. So how do we strike that balance?
That's actually a big question, honestly. Because I naturally think that, just like you said, he who pays the piper dictates its tune. At the end of the day, apart from the payment, you don't want to be on the other side of the government. You don't want to be on the bad book or in the bad book, as the case may be. I remember there was a particular time where there was so much clamp down on media organizations. Oh, you don't have to say this. This is something you should not say. And then at that point, it is not like, let me use myself as an instance. You're on the newspaper review, and then a caller calls to say, oh, the government is this, the government is that. And at the end of the day, because you have to protect your job, you don't want your organization to lose the license. You have to cut the caller to say, oh, you cannot say this on the national radio, or you cannot say this and that. And at the end of the day, the caller gets angry to say, oh, you're pro this person, you're pro that person. I don't know if that has happened to you a couple of times.
Of course,
it has happened to me a couple of times. At the end of the day, they come for me to say, oh, I'm on the side of the government, without knowing that. I mean, at that point in time, I don't want my organization to run into trouble. Just like you said, I have to protect the interest of my organization, even though I owe my loyalty to the public. My assignment is to ensure that they are duly informed, they are aware about everything happening. But I also need to ensure that while delivering that assignment, I do not end up putting my organization in trouble. I mean, if the license is seized, at the end of the day, I don't have a job, because it means that the organization cannot broadcast any content or any material at that point in time, and that makes me jobless. So at the end of the day, while I understand the part that he will pay the piper dictates a tune, I think as broadcasters, as journalists, we still need to do our due diligence, right? In the process of ensuring that we are informing the public, we don't want to get on the bad side of the government, but we still need to do our assignment. Anyways, but I honestly,
really I can see the diplomacy there. But you see, thank God for social media. Because when you talk about amplifying citizens' voices, right, social media has given everybody the room to become investigative journalists, right? It allows citizens to highlight the different things that are going on. I mean, a citizen can just go to any place, take a picture and send it and, post it on social media and say, see, my local government chairman has refused to fix the road. It has really held public officials accountable. If you see movements like the NSAS, it gained a lot of momentum because, social media was, was really, really, actively functioning. So how do you think to mitigate some of these things you just mentioned? Because again, for us in the mainstream media, we're supposed to be a bit restricted, but social media has given us, given the platform for people to just come out and really call out, especially non-performing leaders, right? So how do you think we can start to responsibly use social media platforms in, bridging that gap?
All right. Thank you once again. I think it is the duty of you and I to ensure that we continue to educate people on the right use of the social media. I mean, social media has brought about a lot of changes. Some people have been called out. They have done something to fix their local government. There was a particular time I had issues with the road in my environment. And because I'm a broadcast journalist, I cannot just take a picture and then post it and call out the governor at that point in time, right? But I know a couple of people have done it, and it has worked out. We have seen some of these government officials come up to do one or two things and make things better, right? But again, there is a need to use the social media in the right way. It is okay for us to use the social media or the different social media platforms to hold government accountable, to hold our leaders accountable. However, we need to teach our people where to draw the line. At the start of the program, you mentioned something about toxicity, right? And I also believe that apart from using the social media to address some of those issues, call the attention of the government to the pain of the masses. I think I should even cite an example. I remember there was a particular time, the first time the tax levy was introduced, a lot of people came on social media and there were conversations about, oh, this is not right, not at this time, and all of that. And the government heard, even though the tax has been returned, I naturally think that the government heard and it was put on hold for a while. So that is what we should sensitize the public to use the media for. What we cannot do on the mainstream platform, we should be able to use the social media to hold the government accountable. I mean, but we need to be diplomatic about it. We need to ensure that we are not building toxicity in the process. We need to ensure that we're not bullying people into silence. We need to ensure that because somebody is not supporting who you love, doesn't mean that you should start attacking the person. Social media should not be used as a form of attacking people. Instead, we should use it to, hold government accountable. Let us remind the government, okay, when you were campaigning, these were the things you highlight in your manifesto. How many of these things have you done? Hold your local government chairman accountable. Let them know that these were the promises they highlighted when they were campaigning and all of that. Have they been able to sort all of these things? Have they been able to, meet all of these needs that they said they were going to do? Or they are just going to come back in the next 4 years to give us 1 derica of rice, 1 derica of gari, and let it go? Honestly.
but Blessing, I love what you're saying. But you see, the thing is, right, whether we like it or not, there is a lot of shifts that has happened when it comes to information dissemination. A lot of people have moved, they've shifted to a lot of digital platforms. And it has really, really increased the access to information, But therein again lies some challenges, you understand, because now people are calling for some level of online censorship, because again, some people are also taking advantage of this digitalized world to manipulate data, and, just different things going on within the digital space. So what do you think we can do to help citizens understand the power in that digital platform that they are, they have this access to, and start to become a lot more ethical, right? And they have some level of literacy when it comes to using these digital platforms?
Again, education, education, education. Sensitization, sensitization, sensitization. We're not going to stop talking about it, absolutely, because the moment we keep quiet, And then we just assume that, oh, it's the social media, everybody can say something, or everybody has a voice and all of that. I mean, things will go wrong, honestly. If social media lands in the hand of the wrong person, anything can happen. Just like you said, manipulation of data and all of that. So I
So
would
do you
say
agree
that,
that it should be censored? Should we start to have some kind of
hey,
some kind of what's it called, rules around the usage of social media?
honestly, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so honestly, in my opinion, I think that there's a need to sanitize the social media platforms or the social media space. Honestly, trust me, because so many people have different stories to tell. Apart from the fact that we can use it to say, oh, we want to Soros, okay, we want to do all of these things. Social media has caused some harm to some people. People have been bullied into silence. People are been you know have been victim of depression because somebody called them out, or somebody said, oh, look at you, see the shape of your head, see the shape of your leg. Some people have lost their self-esteem. Some people cannot even say something, especially on X. Before you say why, somebody has said it's Z on your head and you're like, Kilagbe, Kilachi, what have I said? So I just naturally think, yes, the social media space should be sanitized. I'm not saying that people should not be allowed to use the social media at all, but I'm just saying that there should be a little bit of regulation here and there to help us, put people in check. Because if you allow people to continue to do things the way they like, honestly, there
Okay,
will be excesses. There will be a lot
okay.
of excesses.
All right, so quickly before we go on a break, right? How do we manage misinformation and all this AI manipulation? So for instance, somebody forwards something to you, right? Especially with all these deep fake and all of the technology going on right now.
Mhm.
So how do you
Mhm.
fact check, Blessing? What is the way you would educate someone that an information has just been passed to you? How would you fact
Mm.
check? How would you verify that news? So you also you also not be caught into that web of spreading fake news or narratives.
Mm. Absolutely. So I'm just going to talk about myself and what I do. Maybe that would be able to answer your question. One thing is, I don't believe, oh, somebody said, oh, I saw this going on and it's the truth. So the first thing I do is, um, there are so many fact-checking tools that you can use to actually verify if what somebody is saying is true or not. I know that Premium Times has Dubawa, or Dubawa as the case may be, that you can use to fact check stories that you have seen or you have read, and then it will tell you where this thing originated from. I know that during NSAS, a lot of information were released on social media, and a lot of people believed this information because so somebody said, oh, in this particular place, something is happening without even verifying when that happened. So for me, I think the first thing I do is when I see something, before I believe you, I will just lift that thing, take it on Google, paste it and see where is this happening, right? I mean, you would have seen related information. And then I'll check the year. Oh, when was this information released? What happened at this point in time? And like I said, I use some other fact checking tool to be sure that, okay, this thing is not new, or this thing is old. This information has been on since. And I think that is what everybody should learn how to do. During COVID-19, there were so many misinformation. A lot of people, you just see forwarded, 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 forwarded. And then the question is, what are you doing as an individual to ensure that you're not also part of that train? Like you're not seeing an information and then you're just forwarding to other people. Have you done your due diligence to verify if what you're forwarding is actually correct? So what are you doing? Are you playing your part? Because at the end of the day, it requires collective effort. All of us have to come together to combat misinformation and disinformation. So play your part by ensuring that whatever
Just make
information
sure
you're
you check.
sharing, yes, just check, fact check. That's the
Okay,
thing.
so
We
there's
have tools
Dubawa,
that we
and I
can use,
think
Google and all of that.
absolutely there's Dubawa, and I think there's
Yeah,
Africa Check, right? Those are,
Africa check,
yeah,
absolutely,
those are places
absolutely.
that you could go to just verify news, because there's just too many fake news out there. I wanted
I
us to
tell you.
touch quickly on rebuilding trust. But I think we would have to go on a very short break. When we come back from that break, because again, there's a declining trust in traditional media. And this is also because they feel like traditional media is controlled by the people that are in power. So it is difficult for them to come out, with the news. So that's why a lot of trust is tilting towards online media. But let's go on a break. We'll continue the conversation. Stay with me. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, Blessing Agbeetan is still my guest for this evening, and we're having an amazing conversation on the role of media in bridging gaps in civic engagement. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call our phone lines 07025007749 or 07014242420. And let's hear what you have to say. I'd like to, Blessing, come back to you on trust, right? Because again, most people are tilting towards online media because they feel like those online media is like they have the heart of the people. They're not compromised. Traditional media, it is the people in power. I don't want to mention some specific, what's it called, TV media houses, because it's like right now in Nigeria, there's a particular media house you mentioned, it is APC. There's another media house you mentioned is PDP, So, I mean, this is what we see play out within the traditional media space. So do you want to quickly touch on how you think traditional media houses can begin to build trust? Again, because, there's a decline in trust when it comes to the citizens.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, if you pick 10 people, 9 people will tell you that whatever it is they are hearing from the radio or the TV is not right because they are on the side of the government. I mean, I literally shared my experience on the show earlier when I said sometimes on the newspaper, because you're trying not to get into trouble with NBC, and then somebody's calling to say, oh, that government is this, that government is that, and then you're trying to say, oh, you cannot say that on national radio. You cannot say this, and then they tell you, go away, you are supporting the government and all of that. So how can we build trust? That's a big question. Honestly, it means that we have to do a whole lot. We have to visit the roots, and by visiting the roots has to do with you you doing all you can to ensure that you tell people what they want to hear. I don't want to mention any media organization now, but you will agree with me that there are some organizations that have gone out of their ways, or some broadcasters who have gone out of their way to show that, oh, they belong to the people, so they say things that the people want to hear. Even though some of the things that they say are not right, or some of the things that they say have the tendency of triggering people. But I would say that we have to go back to the source. We need to ensure that whatever information we're putting out there is genuine and correct.
Absolutely.
Right? You cannot even afford to put out something and then somebody somewhere tells you, oh, that media organization put out this information, but it is wrong. I mean, it's even a slap on the media organization. So I think that we need to go back to the drawing board, ensure that before we put out anything, we are sure that whatever it is that we're putting out is correct. And then we are ensuring that it is what would benefit the public. We have to ensure that whatever information we're putting out benefit the public. Like, what is it that the government want to hear? Okay, so the government wants to hear about fuel prices now. I think you did a story earlier on that. And they want to know what is happening, right? So the fuel prices have dropped. Why did it drop? What is Dangote saying? I mean, some journalists can take it upon themselves to even maybe write a letter to Dangote and say, we want to come to your refinery. We want to see what is really happening. I know it's a lot because journalists are humans too. They have their personal stuff they are dealing with. And then, some people, because it's not even encouraged, just like you said, you have to double your hustle, have like 2-3 jobs to keep up with the appearance, because somebody just assumes somewhere that because you're working on radio or you're working on TV, you're rich, and then they are taxing you, asking you for money and all of that. So journalists also have a life to live and all of that, but we need to be able to put out the right information. So imagine a radio station, let me not just say radio station, imagine a media house goes out of the way to go to Dangote refinery to get all of the information that the people want to hear. And then they do a detailed report on it and put it out. Don't you think the people will want to stay stuck to that organization? Exactly, that is what is going to happen.
But you see, yeah, they will stay stuck. But you see, right, Blessing, if that report that they finish collating, in the end, Dangote then says to them, you cannot report this. You understand? What then happens? It means that the report is compromised, because in the end, it is going to be whatever it is that he says, this is what you can report, that is what they report eventually. So how do we even gain freedom in terms of press? Because you see, it's not like sometimes these journalists don't go out of their way to go to do all the investigation. Some of them even face harassment, arrest, different kinds of restrictions, and all in the bid to just want to get, you know, a report out, right? Because they want to report objectively. But if, you know, the journalists, like you rightly said, some of them are struggling financially, some of them, if there is some level of, you know, element that would make them compromise, it will be difficult for us to be able to get, you know, some of these stories, you know, in their raw form out, you know. Don't you think so?
I absolutely agree with you. And that takes us back to he who pays the piper dictates its tune. Honestly, I don't know how best to explain this than to say that we need to have renewal of mind as journalists or as media personnel, because honestly, you would go to you go to a place like Dangote Refinery. I'm just using Dangote Refinery because that's what comes to mind now as an example. And then you have gone there to do a report and all of that, and you're going Dangote Refinery. I'm not saying this is what they do. I'm just using it as an example. You get a white envelope, as the case may be, and
brown,
then
brown,
you're
please
going.
be specific. It's brown.
I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to, you know, dodge the corner. Right. And then you get a thank you for coming. And after getting it, you look at your salary. Maybe you're earning 50,000 or you're earning 100,000, and the 100,000 self is not balanced. Your organization is only like 3 months, 4 months. At the end of the day, you get thank you for coming of ₦1 million. You'll be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Maybe everybody should rest for now. Let me take care of myself. That's the most important thing. So, like you said, as much as we want to say we want to report what is right, media organizations need to do better as well. Everybody is involved. Everybody has a role to play. Media organizations should try as much as possible to pay their staff what they are due, treat them well. Because when you treat journalists well, you take care of their mental health, their physical health, you don't owe them, you pay them and when due, you increase their payment as and when due without them, you know, writing you, telling you, oh, I'm due, I've been working for you for 5 years. You give them a breathing space. Trust me, they will do their job without being compromised. You know, I have a couple of friends working with international brands, and they will tell you they cannot go to any place and collect thank you for coming because they are well paid. And in that instance, they will do their due diligence to report everything that the people needs to know. So it goes down, it goes deep down. Media organizations have a role to play. The government also has a role to play. Agencies should not be used to stifle media organizations to say, oh, if you put this, you're not supposed to say this, you're not supposed to say that, because out of fear, so many media organizations would avoid some of these things because they don't want to fall into trouble. They don't want to, you know, start going back and forth with the government or having to pay or having their licenses revoked and all of that. So everybody at the end of the day has a role to play. Media organizations, pay your staff well, ensure that they are well treated, put into consideration their mental and physical health. Government should do well to not get involved, not stifle media organizations. I mean, this is democracy, and then we shouldn't allow, because we're trying to ensure that the government is not hurt, then we are stifling media organization. The government also has a role to play. Then as individuals, as journalists, do your best to ensure that you're objective, because you took up this job because you love it, right? You want to inform the public.
Well,
You
I hope
want to educate the public.
I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so. I hope so. But quickly, Blessing. Now, you touched on a little bit of information. So, how easy are media organizations, how easy are they able to access information from government official? Like, because you see, some of the times why we have some of these issues, right, is because there is no access to reliable information. You know, I remember several times, every time I watch a news and the man will say, I cannot give out so much information at the moment, that thing irks me. I'm wondering, are you not supposed to be the person that's supposed to be the spokesperson of this, you know, this place? So why are you saying you can't? Because you have to always want to, first of all, get clearance to be able to say certain things. So, I mean, so how easy is it for media organizations to be able to access information, especially from reliable sources? Is it an easy thing in your own experience over the years as a journalist?
Honestly, if you ask me, I would say that it is not easy. Trust me, it is not. You have a particular program you want to do, and then you're reaching out to government MDAs, you're writing to their staff, and then they are telling you, "Oh, I cannot grant the interview. I have to get clearance from my bosses." Just like you said, by the time you reach out to them over and over and over, and then they are not forthcoming, you as a journalist, you're going to get tired, and then you just have to leave them. You let them be. So as a result of that, even journalists have access to quality information, because it is what you have that you're definitely going to give out. So as much as there is Freedom of Information Act that states that it is important for journalists, and not just journalists now, for everyone to have access to public information, right? I don't think it is well. I'm looking for the right word now. I don't think it is being implemented, because you're going to reach out to somebody and then they tell you, maybe somebody, a civil servant, they tell you, "Oh, I cannot grant that interview because I am not allowed to speak." And then you're wondering, why are you not allowed to speak? Why can't you speak on this? I really want to know about the vaccination. I really want to know what you're doing with government funding. I really want to know what you're doing about budget. I really want to know what you're trying to do about the road, the money you collected, or the budget has been set aside, the budget has been allocated for electricity, or what is this band A about? What is this band B about? And then they tell you, "I'm not allowed to, give all of this information." Then you're wondering what is really happening. So because the media houses or media organizations don't even have access to all of this information, that is why it is easy for misinformation to
To
thrive on
spread,
social
yeah.
media. If
Absolutely.
the people don't have access to accurate information, I mean, misinformation will thrive. So
Absolutely.
that's why we're here. I
Absolutely.
just really hope that, all these government agencies, whatever it is, that, whatever law that has been put in place to limit or restrict people from, talking about some of these things, I really just hope that they can revisit it. But it's just so sad that if you really want to hear from someone in the government, just wait your election period.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that, because every 4 years, they will be the one to to give you unsolicited
And they want to
information.
tell you about what they've done. You will see, they will even be the one begging you, "Please, I want to come on your show.
Yes, come
I
and
want to
cover
talk
this.
about this."
Absolutely. All right, so I was just going to say that we had talked about, because as we're rounding up the conversation, I mean, we're having fun. The time is running very fast. How can citizens leverage the media for civic engagement? So if we're talking about credible places to follow in terms of sources of information, we've mentioned a few before now. How do citizens engage in online advocacy, when it comes to, using their media platforms to then encourage more people to be involved, and start to really, really be deliberate about civic engagements?
Thank you very much once again. I would say join public discourse, right? When conversations are going on, join this conversation. Don't just, and then be, as citizens, be aware of the kind of conversations you join. What kind of conversation do you even pop into? Is it the kind of conversation where somebody somewhere just came up with a theory, and then somebody somewhere is propagating this theory without giving you evidences of, okay, so this happened, it is written here, this is where you can find this. And I'm also going to say that ensure that you follow credible platforms. So when I say credible platforms, I'm saying mainstream media. I'm not saying that mainstream media cannot, I don't know if I can mention, I don't know if, I'm not saying that mainstream media cannot also make mistake, because I mean, that's happened over the years where a media house will post something and then come back to apologize and say, oh, we're sorry, we said this, and then they take it down. Right, it has happened over the years. But I'm saying that I would rather consume an information that I'm seeing on a platform like Punch than something that I'm just seeing on social media randomly. Somebody is just posting something. So I'm just going to say that whatever it is you want to share or whatever it is you want to engage yourself in, ensure that it is coming from a credible media platform. And of course, as citizens, we need to play our part. When people are propagating fake news, do your diligence to counsel them. Right. If you have a friend who believes so much in sharing, sharing, just tell the friend, do you know that this is actually the right information? So if we take our time to also encourage people as individuals, to educate them on what it is and what it is not, I think it's going to also help us to, help people to participate. And I'm also going to say that a lot of people don't like to talk. I don't know if you've been in this situation where you go out for interview and then somebody say, hey, don't video me, I don't want to talk.
People are afraid now because they have also seen cases where they went to say something, even on X, they went to the person's house and picked the person and they threw the person in jail for 6 months. I mean, Nigerians are just, they're just worried for themselves. But I wanted to touch quickly because, time is running really fast. So, investigative journalism. Right? There's one investigative journalist that has been, putting a lot of fire in a lot of people's bum, David Hudain, right?
Fisaya
and Fisaya as well. Now, you see these guys, right? When they bring out their reports, you always hear stories like, oh, the person was sponsored. Of course, somebody has to sponsor the investigation because it requires money. So why do we always keep, instead of focusing on the message that the person is trying to put out there in the public, we start to push up all this propaganda, that is being sponsored by opposition and all of that. Is it that our politicians and our leaders, they are not just open to criticism, or what exactly is the issue? Because the whole idea for media is to give different kinds of, angles to every conversation. So if your leadership is not going well, a journalist is supposed to tell you, okay, these are the areas you're not doing so well, these are the areas you're doing well. And I believe that when investigative journalists are at work, they are supposed to go and dig out all the things that is not visible to the human eye. But most times you always see these issues around people saying that, oh, they are being sponsored and all of that. It doesn't make any... So, but how do we start to focus on the message instead of the... would I call it the messenger?
The messenger. Okay, so this is what I believe. I believe that sometimes when people who are being investigated, or people who are like the center of investigation, when they don't want something to thrive, some of the things they do is they plant people to say, oh, it's fake, it's not true. By the time one or two persons, go about with that information, it flies and all of that. So I'm just going to say that again, citizens, individuals, members of the public, it is important for us to have a mind of our own, right? I understand that sometimes we do all of these things because of some of the things that trickle down from the people in power, appointments, money, gifts, December bonus, all of those things that come in with you being loyal to all of these people. But you're doing yourself a whole lot of disservice, because the question is, how long are they going to be there for you for? The moment they use you and they are going to discard you. It is not just in relationship that people use people and dump them. In this situation too, you can be used and dumped. When they want to use you for whatever objective they have, they give you a little bit of money, small money, and then tell you they sow this. It's just like when you want to sow a seed of discord among people.
Absolutely.
And then you start going from one person to another, you start saying it. Before you know it, it becomes a big deal. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to appeal to investigative journalists. to try and not give up, even when all of these things come out, because there's a way it makes you feel. For somebody like Fisayo Shiyombo, who has gone to prison, who, went to do, I think he went to Ikoyi prison to do an undercover, and that almost landed him in trouble. And there was another one he did with his custom person, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
And that's, landed him in big trouble and all of that. I'm just going to say that investigative journalists should try as much as possible not give up, regardless of the seed of discord that is being sown by the people they are, trying to expose their deeds and all of that. And I'm also going to say, as individuals, Nigeria is our own, and we cannot not just take care of our country and ensure that we're good ambassadors of Nigeria, because we have no place to go. See, if all of us travel, go Yankee, go anywhere, what's it going to come back to our home? Nigeria, and
besides, they cannot
home.
accommodate all 200 million people now. We have to. Some of us will not go anywhere. But thank you so much, Blessing. I say this has been an amazing conversation. I hope you get well soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.